Let me tell you something. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. The person who argues the most is rarely the most certain. And the one who keeps announcing their plans, they're usually the one still trying to convince themselves. Real power moves in silence. Real growth happens behind closed doors. And when you focus on yourself instead of the noise around you, that's when everything starts falling into place. Silence is often misunderstood. People confuse it with fear, insecurity, or a lack of confidence. But true silence, intentional silence, is none of those things. It is controlled power. It is the ability to respond instead of react. When you choose not to argue every point, not to defend every accusation, not to broadcast every plan, you are not shrinking. You are sharpening. You are demonstrating discipline over ego. And discipline over ego is one of the rarest strengths a person can possess. Anyone can shout. Anyone can interrupt. Anyone can try to dominate a room with noise. But it takes real confidence to sit back, observe, calculate, and move only when it matters. Silence gives you space to think clearly. When you remove yourself from unnecessary conversations and emotional chaos, your mind begins to work at a higher level. You start seeing patterns others miss. You start understanding people beyond their words. You recognize that not every opinion deserves your energy, and not every situation requires your reaction. Most conflicts are fueled by pride, and pride demands to be heard. But growth demands to be focused. The moment you realize that your peace is more valuable than proving a point is the moment you step into a new level of maturity. Silence becomes your filter. It protects your mind from distractions that would otherwise drain your strength. There is also power in keeping your plans private. When you speak too early about your goals, you invite opinions, doubts, and sometimes jealousy into something that is still fragile. Dreams in their early stages need protection, not exposure. Every time you explain your vision to someone who doesn't share it, you risk weakening your own belief. Silence shields your ambition. It allows you to work without pressure from outside expectations. When you move quietly, you eliminate unnecessary noise, and the only voice left guiding you is your own. That clarity builds confidence. That confidence builds momentum. Silence is strategic because it forces others to reveal themselves. When you stop over talking and start listening, you gather information. You learn who supports you genuinely and who simply enjoys hearing themselves speak. You discover who respects boundaries and who tests them. People reveal more in your quiet than they ever would in your noise. And information is power. The quiet individual in the room often understands the dynamics better than anyone else because they are not busy trying to dominate it. They are studying it, observing, calculating their next move with intention rather than impulse. Choosing silence also strengthens emotional control. When someone criticizes you, misunderstands you, or underestimates you, the natural instinct is to respond immediately, to defend, to correct, to prove them wrong. But emotional reactions are temporary, while disciplined restraint builds long-term strength. When you refuse to react out of anger, you prevent others from controlling your state of mind. You show that your stability cannot be shaken by outside noise. That kind of composure unsettles people who rely on drama. It signals that you are grounded, self-assured, and focused on something bigger than momentary validation. Finally, silence builds anticipation. When you talk less about what you're going to do and focus more on actually doing it, your results speak with undeniable authority. Words can be questioned. Promises can be doubted. But results are visible, tangible, real. There is a different kind of respect people have for someone who moves quietly and produces loudly. It creates impact without begging for attention. And impact is what truly shifts perception. Silence allows you to build without interruption, to grow without distraction, and to rise without announcement. In that quiet space, your discipline deepens, your vision sharpens, and your strength solidifies. Focus is more powerful than most people realize. It is not just attention, it is direction. Wherever your focus goes, your energy follows. And wherever your energy flows, results begin to form. If your mind is constantly locked onto what others are doing, what they are saying, or how they are moving ahead, you unknowingly hand over control of your life. Your mood becomes dependent on their progress. Your motivation rises and falls with comparison. But the moment you shift that focus inward, toward your own improvement, your own discipline, your own growth, something changes. Your world begins to reorganize itself around your priorities. Distraction is the enemy of transformation. Every notification, every argument, every piece of gossip pulls a small piece of your attention away from what truly matters. Individually, they seem harmless. Collectively, they become chains. Focus demands sacrifice. It requires you to say no to conversations that drain you and yes to habits that build you. It requires turning down the volume of the outside world so you can hear the voice inside. When you make that decision consistently, clarity begins to replace confusion. You start seeing your path more clearly because you are no longer staring at someone else's. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of focus. When you constantly measure your journey against someone else's timeline, you distort your perception of progress. You forget that everyone starts from a different place, carries different responsibilities, and walks a different road. Focus frees you from that trap. When you concentrate on becoming better than you were yesterday, improvement becomes personal instead of competitive. You stop running someone else's race and start mastering your own pace. And that shift alone can restore motivation you didn't even realize you had lost. Focus also builds momentum. Small, consistent actions repeated daily create results that seem sudden to the outside world. But there is nothing sudden about it. It is accumulated effort. When you dedicate yourself to one goal at a time instead of scattering your energy across dozens of half-finished ambitions, progress accelerates. Mastery requires immersion. It requires showing up even when no one notices, even when the excitement fades. Focus teaches endurance. It trains your mind to stay committed long after inspiration wears off. And commitment is what separates temporary success from lasting achievement. When you focus on your character as much as your goals, your foundation strengthens. It is easy to chase external rewards, money, status, recognition, but without internal growth, those rewards become unstable. Focus on discipline. Focus on integrity. Focus on becoming someone who can handle the success you seek. The more you refine your mindset, the more prepared you become for greater responsibility. Growth from the inside out creates stability. It ensures that when opportunities arrive, you are not just excited, you are ready. Focus reshapes your reality because it changes your decisions. The thoughts you entertain influence the actions you take. The actions you take create habits, and habits determine outcomes. When your focus is scattered, your results are inconsistent. When your focus is deliberate, your life begins to align. You notice opportunities you once overlooked. You attract people who match your level of dedication. You start operating with intention instead of impulse. And gradually, almost quietly, everything begins to shift. Not because the world changed, but because you did. There is a natural instinct in all of us to want to prove people wrong. When someone doubts you, underestimates you, or walks away too soon, the ego demands a response. It wants recognition. It wants validation. It wants to stand in front of that person one day and say, "Look at me now." But the truth is, Chasing revenge keeps you emotionally attached to the very thing that tried to limit you. Real power is not in retaliation. It is in elevation. When you redirect that energy away from proving others wrong and toward improving yourself, something remarkable happens. You stop living in reaction to others and start living in alignment with your own potential. Self-development is quiet, but it is relentless. It is waking up early when no one is watching. It is studying when others are scrolling. It is training your body, sharpening your skills, strengthening your mindset, not for applause, but for growth. The person who hurt you may never see the hours you invested. The people who doubted you may never witness the discipline it took to transform. And that is the point. Your growth is not a performance. It is preparation. The deeper you commit to becoming better, the less you feel the need to announce it. Improvement changes your confidence at its core. Not surface confidence built on compliments or approval, but grounded confidence built on competence. When you know you have put in the work, your posture changes, your tone changes, your decisions change. You no longer seek permission to pursue your goals. You move with certainty because you have evidence, personal evidence, that you can endure discomfort and still progress. That kind of confidence cannot be shaken by criticism because it is built from experience, not opinion. Self-development also creates distance from past pain. Growth shifts your environment, your habits, and often your circle. The more you evolve, the less access negativity has to you. You begin to outgrow the conversations, the patterns, and even the people who once influenced you. Not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. Elevation requires separation. You cannot rise while carrying every weight from your past. When you commit to becoming a stronger, wiser version of yourself, you naturally move into spaces that reflect that transformation. There is something powerful about letting success be your response. When you invest in yourself consistently, results accumulate, and those results speak with more authority than any argument ever could. The people who once questioned your ability will eventually see your growth, not because you announced it, but because it became undeniable. And by that point, you may not even feel the need to address the past. Growth has a way of dissolving the desire for revenge. It replaces it with gratitude for the lesson and respect for the journey. Most importantly, self-development is permanent. Revenge is temporary. It satisfies for a moment and fades. But growth compounds. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every disciplined choice you make builds on the last. You are constructing a foundation that supports not just one victory, but a lifetime of them. When you focus on improving your character, your resilience, and your vision, you win in ways that go far beyond proving a point. You become someone who cannot be easily shaken, easily replaced, or easily ignored. Not because you demanded attention, but because you earned respect through consistent elevation. Peace is one of the most valuable assets you will ever possess, yet it is often treated as if it costs nothing. People hand it away in arguments that don't matter, in situations that don't serve them, in conversations that only create confusion. But peace is not cheap. It is earned through growth, through self-awareness, through learning when to engage and when to walk away. When you begin to see your peace as currency, you become far more careful about where you spend it. You stop investing emotional energy into people and problems that offer no return. Every conflict invites you to participate. Every insult tries to pull you into reaction, and every misunderstanding tempts you to defend yourself immediately. But protecting your peace means recognizing that not every invitation deserves acceptance. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is declining to engage. Silence in those moments is not weakness, it is wisdom. It shows that you value your mental stability more than winning a temporary debate. And over time, that discipline builds a calm presence that others can feel the moment you enter a room. Boundaries are essential to protecting your peace. Without them, people will take more than you can afford to give. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are filters designed to preserve your well-being. When you clearly define what you tolerate and what you refuse to entertain, your life becomes less chaotic. You reduce unnecessary stress. You prevent emotional exhaustion. And most importantly, you send a message to yourself and to others that your energy has value. People learn how to treat you based on what you allow. Protecting your peace also requires emotional maturity. There will always be individuals who misunderstand your silence. Some may label it as arrogance. Others may interpret it as weakness. But maturity understands that clarity does not require constant explanation. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to correct every rumor or respond to every slight. The more grounded you become, the less external noise disturbs your internal balance. Emotional control transforms potential chaos into quiet strength. When your peace is protected, your focus sharpens. Stress clouds judgment. Anger distorts decisions. But calmness enhances clarity. With a clear mind, you evaluate situations rationally instead of emotionally. You respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. That shift alone can change the direction of your life. Many mistakes are made not because people lack intelligence, but because they lack emotional restraint. Protecting your peace safeguards your ability to think clearly even under pressure. Over time, maintaining your peace creates stability that others struggle to find. While some are constantly caught in cycles of drama and reaction, you remain steady. That steadiness builds trust. It builds respect. It strengthens your confidence because you know your emotions are not easily controlled by outside forces. And when you move through life with that level of composure, opportunities align more naturally. People gravitate toward stability. Success gravitates toward clarity. And clarity thrives in a mind that has chosen peace over chaos. Attention is loud. It flashes, it trends, it fades. One moment people are clapping, the next they are scrolling past you. If you build your motivation on applause, you will constantly feel unstable, rising when they cheer, shrinking when they go silent. But consistency does not depend on spectators. It does not require validation. It is built in private, reinforced daily, and strengthened through repetition. The truth is simple attention may introduce you to the world, but consistency is what earns you respect. There is a difference between being noticed and being reliable. Anyone can create a moment. Very few can maintain a standard. Consistency is choosing discipline over excitement. It is showing up when you are tired, when you are uninspired, when no one is watching. It is doing the work on ordinary days, not just extraordinary ones. That steady effort compounds over time. While others chase bursts of recognition, the consistent individual builds foundations that do not collapse when the spotlight moves elsewhere. Progress rarely looks dramatic in the beginning. It feels repetitive. It feels slow. It feels unnoticed. And that is exactly why so many people quit. They crave immediate feedback, immediate applause, immediate proof that their efforts matter. But real growth operates quietly. One workout does not transform your body. One study session does not make you an expert. One disciplined day does not build success, but repeated actions again and again reshape your abilities, your mindset, and eventually your circumstances. Consistency turns small efforts into undeniable outcomes. When you commit to consistency, you remove emotion from your productivity. You no longer wait to feel motivated. You operate based on commitment instead of mood. That shift changes everything. Feelings fluctuate. Discipline remains. Some days you will be energized. Other days you will feel drained. But if your actions are tied to purpose rather than emotion, you keep moving regardless of temporary discomfort. That reliability strengthens your character. It builds trust in yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of lasting confidence. Consistency also builds resilience. The more you show up, the more you learn to adapt. You encounter setbacks, obstacles, and failures, but because you are committed to the long process, those challenges do not stop you. They refine you. Each repetition improves your skill. Each mistake sharpens your understanding. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes routine. What once intimidated you becomes manageable. That transformation does not happen through attention, it happens through repeated effort. Eventually, consistency creates a gap between you and those who rely solely on bursts of enthusiasm. While others start strong and fade quickly, you continue forward at a steady pace. That steadiness wins in the long run. People may not notice the daily grind, but they cannot ignore the accumulated results. And when the moment comes where preparation meets opportunity, it will not feel sudden to you. It will feel earned, the natural outcome of choosing discipline every single day over temporary recognition. Timing is often mistaken for luck. People see someone rise and assume the moment just happened to fall into place. They call it coincidence. They call it good fortune. But what they rarely see are the years of preparation that made that moment possible. Timing does not reward the loudest person. It rewards the ready one. When opportunity arrives, it does not wait for you to get prepared. It reveals whether you already are. And preparation is built long before the spotlight ever turns in your direction. Patience is a discipline few people truly master. We live in a world that demands immediate results, instant recognition, and quick returns. Waiting feels uncomfortable. It feels like stagnation. But waiting with preparation is not stagnation. It is strengthening. While others grow restless and quit, the prepared individual continues refining their craft. They sharpen their skills. They deepen their understanding. They strengthen their mindset. So when the right door opens, they do not panic. They step forward with confidence because they have rehearsed for that moment long before it arrived. Preparation builds quiet assurance. When you have put in the work consistently, you do not need external validation to confirm your readiness. You feel it internally. There is a calm that comes from knowing you have done everything within your control. That calm separates you from those who rely solely on hope. Hope without preparation leads to hesitation. But preparation combined with patience leads to decisive action. And decisive action is what transforms opportunity into achievement. There will be seasons when it feels like nothing is happening. No visible progress, no major breakthroughs. Just effort repeated day after day. These seasons test your faith in your own journey. They tempt you to rush the process or force outcomes prematurely. But forced timing often leads to fragile results. When you move before you are ready, cracks appear under pressure. True timing aligns your internal growth with external opportunity. It ensures that when success arrives, you have the character and capacity to sustain it. Understanding timing also teaches humility. You realize that not every closed door is rejection. Sometimes it is redirection. Not every delay is denial. Sometimes it is development. Growth often happens in isolation before it is recognized publicly. In those private phases, you build resilience. You strengthen patience. You refine your vision. And when the opportunity finally presents itself, you are not overwhelmed. You are aligned. Alignment feels different from luck. It feels earned, steady, and deserved. When preparation meets the right moment, Everything seems to accelerate. Doors that once appeared locked begin to open. Connections form naturally. Progress multiplies. But that acceleration is not random. It is the visible result of invisible discipline. Timing does not create greatness, it reveals it. And when you have focused on yourself, remained silent about your next move, and committed to steady preparation, your moment will not catch you off guard. It will confirm what you have known all along, that you were ready. So understand this clearly. When you focus on yourself, you eliminate distraction. When you stay silent, you eliminate unnecessary resistance. When you grow consistently, protect your peace, and prepare patiently, you eliminate excuses. You stop chasing noise. You stop proving points. You stop reacting to everything that tries to pull you off course. And something powerful begins to happen. Your confidence stops depending on approval. Your discipline stops depending on motivation. Your progress stops depending on attention. You move differently, calmer, sharper, stronger. People may not see the early mornings. They may not see the sacrifices. They may not understand the silence, but they will see the results. Because when you master yourself, you don't have to force alignment. You don't have to beg for opportunity. You don't have to compete for recognition. Everything starts responding to the level you've built within. Focus on you. Stay silent. Stay disciplined. Stay prepared. And when your time comes, it won't feel accidental. It will feel inevitable.